tell us what audiences can expect from seeing Fire and Ash on the big screen.
Okay, as an audience, what you could expect on the big screen is the obvious, immersion, right? It fills your field of view. It's in 3D. It's 3 hours long. It takes you into a world and with characters that feel real, because we're very proud of not only the technology but the acting and the performances that bring these characters to life in a way that they just feel like real people. Sure, their eyes are bigger and they've got, you know, these big ears and that sort of thing, but they're very emotive. They'll pull you into their story, and I think you'll find that it's a very emotional journey. So to me, all those things, the big screen, the great sound, the 3D, the imaginative imagery and everything pulls you in, and then you go on a personal journey. And what we're hearing and what we're being told is that it's extremely emotional, and that people are crying and they're having almost a very cathartic effect as they go through the experience of this film.
Perfect. All right, next up, how has performance capture technology advanced since the first film began shooting in 2007?
Between the first Avatar and the sequels, and it's important to remember that Fire and Ash is the second part of a story that's told between The Way of Water and Fire and Ash, and it kind of completes a story cycle. Between the first film and the sequels, we spent 5 years and tens of millions of dollars developing a much more advanced facial pipeline. We call it the pipeline, but what it really means is what those actors do, what they felt, every tiny detail, every tear, every tiniest bit of expression makes it into the final character absolutely undiminished. And so you feel it, you feel their heart. I would say it's even enhanced because the size of their eyes is like the window into the soul of these characters is even more enhanced. It's not something that we add on top of the performance, it's just the nature of the character. So if you thought of it as digital makeup, that would be the healthiest way to think of it. We're all familiar with makeup, Star Trek, Star Wars, Elephant Man, everything where an actor is changed for a role. Our actors come in, they look physically the same when we capture them, but in the final film, they look like their characters, Jake, Neytiri, Kiri, and so on. So Kiri is an amazing case in point. You have Sigourney Weaver, who was 70 and 71 across the period that we were capturing these films, and she appears 15. She is a 15-year-old in the movie. That's the power of acting, and I'm so proud of our actors in this film for what they did, and I'm so proud of our technology group for how they were able to preserve those performances without diminishment into the final image.
Pretty incredible. All right, next, can you talk about the powerful creative collaborative relationships you have developed over the course of the past 2 decades and what has changed or stayed the same?
So as a director, as a writer-director, I kind of want to will this thing out of my imagination onto the screen. I can't do that myself. First of all, I need my cast to interpret those characters. So those have become amazing creative alliances over time with Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana and some of the others that are from the first film. That's been a 19-year journey. For the younger actors and some of the new actors that have come in on the sequels, it's been an 8-year journey. We've become a family. Our acting community, which also includes a small troupe of players that play multiple different characters, it's a small group, and we feel like we're a family. So it's a movie about a family. It's got a family behind the camera as well. Some of the other alliances that are very important is with, for example, Weta Effects and ILM, the 2 major VFX houses that are able to interpret these, take this character data that we capture and turn it into what appear to be living, breathing characters in a fictitious world. That's an important alliance. We have a great alliance with New Zealand, just filming in New Zealand and having their support and the support of their government rebate program in New Zealand. That's been an important alliance. A very critical creative alliance for me was with my producing partner, John Landau. That was a 33-year creative relationship. It ended, unfortunately, last year when John died in the middle of making this film. So this is his last film. And ironically, it's a film about grief and loss and how people process it and how they get through it and how they get to a more hopeful place in their lives. And that's been very healing, I think, for all of us working on the film, trying to make John proud, if you will, of this film.
Certainly takes a village. What can you tell us about the two new clans introduced in the film?
So we have two new clans. We have the Wind Traders, and they are nomadic people that trade all around the world, and they fly. Well, they don't personally fly. They have these vehicles that are basically lifted by these gigantic creatures that are kind of like a floating jellyfish. We call them medusoids, and they even have almost what you'd consider to be like a tugboat. That's a creature called a wind ray, and they can guide it, and they can fly in these amazing caravans. And I personally, with a 14-year-old version of myself, would love to run away with the Wind Traders and fly with them around the world of Pandora. And we see our young kid characters go off with them on a journey. So that's a big adventure. And then we have, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have what we call the Ash people, or the Mungkwan clan. And the Mungkwan are very dark and down-twisted Na'vi characters. So not all Na'vi are good and fully virtuous. These are people that have turned their backs on Ewa. They feel fully justified because they've had a very traumatic experience. A volcanic eruption completely buried their homeland, and all their tribal lands are now dead because of ashfall and lava flow over that region. And so they take it out on everybody else around them. So they've become essentially a raiding culture, and they attack the other clans, including the Wind Traders. So that puts those two at odds. And of course, for storytelling purposes, our Sully family winds up right in the middle when, it all turns to hell.
Great. And finally, sir, what part of Pandora's mythology resonates the most with you personally?
I think the part of the mythology that we've created around Pandora is this idea that everything is connected and unified into a fully functional system. I believe that of nature. I don't really believe that nature is intelligent per se, but I think there's a kind of an innate wisdom in the way that nature has its own built-in checks and balances. And of course, the metaphor of the film is that human beings arrive as a colonizing and conquering force, and they disrupt all that, and they put the world out of balance. And the thing that the Na'vi believe in above everything else is what they call the Great Balance. And on Pandora, the Great Balance is actually represented by a deity that they call Ewa. And in our story, Ewa is an actual sentience, an actual consciousness. We don't have an Ewa on Earth. Ewa would have slapped us and stopped us a long time ago from what we're doing right now, but we don't have Ewa, so we have to create our own inner Ewa, I think, if we're going to survive on this planet.